Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman with you for the next hour until the Vince Show. We got a big day ahead here on Uncanceled. I got a lot of really cool, fun stories. This is going to be fun. We're going to try to jam it all in. I don't know. I normally work with one sheet of paper here, but I feel like it is, well, I might have too many topics. I may have to keep them all moving a little bit today, which is sometimes difficult for someone like myself, but we're going to give it a try. A little bit later, we're going to get some new information for you on the alleged knife-throwing incident at the KU Texas Tech game on Saturday night and where that is headed. Also, no gnome at KCI. Her video has been struck down by KCI airport authorities, and why we should keep defunding universities anywhere we can, especially after the University of Texas El Paso did a 10-year study on how many penalties are called on the Chiefs. Oh, my gosh. Some of this you just can't believe. Then we'll talk with Mark a little bit later about the mystery of left tackle Josh Simmons, why he has disappeared from the Chiefs, what's going on there, and how boring Major League Baseball's playoffs are right now. We got a lot of topics. We're going to start today with something that Donald Trump said yesterday that nobody really reported on because there were so many bigger stories. We had the peace in the Middle East. We had the Charlie Kirk remembrance. We had the complete cabinet meeting where they were talking about really big, important issues. And occasionally, a question will come up from a reporter that has a specific angle to a specific area of the country or something that they're working on. And it was asked of the president while he was in his, well, I don't even know if we call them news conferences, his cabinet meeting where he's taking questions. He was asked a question about unrest and violence in Boston. As you know, Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, has said, no thanks. We don't want any help from Trump, the feds, ICE, the FBI, and certainly not the National Guard. We've got this. And Trump has said that Boston is basically out of control because the Democrats are in charge there. It's a great city, but they're in deep trouble because of the increased violence. He did say that Michelle Wu is, at least she's smart. She's not one of these low IQ Democrat mayors, which I appreciated. But the question that they asked him about what was going on in Boston is, would you take the World Cup away from Boston if the violence continues? And the second the question was asked, I started thinking about Kansas City. Kansas City is a violent place, but what we have not seen, and Kansas City has a tradition of this through George Floyd and the other things, Kansas City's rebel rousers in this town, the people that would get violent, throw things, break things, set things on fire, do whatever, those people in this city are followers. Let's just call it, they are not at the forefront of the crazy left. They're waiting until there's 7 or 8 cities on fire before they're going to burn anything in Kansas City. They're really like Antifa light here, let's call them. They're embarrassing to their cause. If your purpose is to go out and destroy things and tear down America and hate America, the people in Kansas City that are crazy left are just pretty much half-baked. You know, they're kind of like the Royals. You know, they're a team. We know what they're about. They're good. They're not a champion. They're not the worst. That's Kansas City when it comes to, you know, they're not Portland. That's not happening. This isn't Chicago. It's not the crime of Memphis. So we wait and we see what happens in Kansas City. But Trump said at this point, quote, we could take them away, saying the World Cup games would be taken away from Boston. I love the people of Boston. I know the games are sold out, but your mayor's not very good. He suggested that they're taking over parts of Boston. We could get them back in about 2 seconds. So Trump says, yeah, I can move the games. Well, the story very quickly pivoted anywhere you want to see it reported. You can find it at your typical local places, or liberal places, CNN, Politico, whatever. They picked up on an Associated Press story. So I assume the person that asked the question was with the Associated Press, looking to a story on something different out of Donald Trump's news conference, which I respect. And it's not a bad story. It's not a bad topic for a story. The execution of the story is really bad because of it's just typical of the way they handle things. They basically run a headline here that Trump says he will move the games out of Boston, although it's not his decision. That's the headline. I mean, there's opinion in the headline. And this is very telling of the way the liberal media operate because they simply don't understand an actual presidency, an actual president, and they still have not figured out who and what Donald Trump is. They go on at great length in this story to write that Trump is directly threatening. Boston is honored and excited to have the World Cup matches. Wu said, "We look forward to the welcoming of the fans from around the world in our beautiful city, the cradle of liberty, the city of champions, blah, blah, blah." But then the writer goes on to say, it's FIFA's tournament. It's their jurisdiction. FIFA makes those decisions. Let me just be very clear to everyone at FIFA, everyone in the little liberal media, and everyone around the world that is a one-world globalist living in the left. It is most definitely Donald Trump's decision. If he doesn't want the World Cup games in Boston or some city that's embarrassing for America because they're burning things and demonstrating and all hell's breaking loose, they're getting moved. You think he got a peace deal in the Middle East and he can't get on the phone with the head of FIFA and say we need to move these games? And if the FIFA president says, well, we've got a lot invested in Boston, we don't want to move them to Providence, Rhode Island, or wherever, Nashville, we don't want to move them there, Trump will say, great. You'll have no federal support in the city of Boston or Foxborough where these games are. There will be no FBI. There will be no troops, no support, no security. We're not checking. You just work with the people of Boston and Foxborough and knock yourself out. In the state of Massachusetts, we're out. Then what do you think FIFA does? Because their people are coming too. And they're coming from all over the world. And so are world leaders and dignitaries and ambassadors and really, really wealthy oligarchs that the Democrats like to talk about. From all over the world, the oligarchs are coming for the World Cup. That's really what the World Cup is about. It's for the elite people that walk this globe. It's not for regular folks. The tickets are too much. The travel's too expensive. The greatest soccer fans in the world, the really hardened soccer fans, are living in countries where they don't have the wherewithal to get on, United Airlines and fly to New York and pay $1,400 for a ticket and stay at a $2,000 hotel room and go to the World Cup. That's a very exclusive number of people, and that's who these games are for. And if they think Boston is unsafe, the very first thing they're going to do is say, yes, sir, Mr. President, where would you like to move those games? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think it is. If it's going to happen in any city, L.A. is going to be the problem. I don't think it's going to be Boston. These are just my humble opinions. But I am just amazed after 10 years that these liberals that work in the media and the stories they perpetuate and the things that they've written here don't understand that the man that has ended 8 wars in 9 months, they don't think he can move World Cup games out of Boston. Now, technically, you may be right. There could be a contract with Boston, and FIFA may make the decisions on what cities they want to play in. But we get a couple of months out, and Boston's on fire. They're going to be calling Trump, asking him for help. It is unbelievable how they miss these points. So the Associated Press writes this story, and it doesn't get a lot of play, but it does go everywhere. It's like the 27th most read story at CNN.com. It's at Politico. It's in the New York Times. It's in the Washington Post. It's in these places. The story is out there. It's being floated. It's almost like a marker for them. Like, here we are, 8 months out, 9 months out. We're going to have a marker of where we are on this. We've got Trump on record as saying he can move it. Like they're trying to box him in a corner. Let me tell you what you don't want to do if you're the liberal media. You don't want to tell Trump he can't do something, because then he may just do it to play with you. Or at least act like he's going to get it done and set the wheels in motion. And, for example, maybe in March, get FIFA's permission. Mr. President, you can move these games wherever you want if you think there's national security issues or any danger to our officials or the bigwigs that are coming to your cities. I don't think this is a giant story. To me, the giant story is it was a good idea. Ask the question, get Trump on record, find out. But then they take it and they twist it and they sort of bastardize every story that they do into some sort of story that just doesn't exist. What they wanted to report, the reason they did this story is not because it's somewhat interesting and it applies to Kansas City. If we have huge problems in Kansas City next year, that's a problem. I heard Pete say earlier today, I don't know anything about this story. They're wanting to build a temporary jail for the World Cup. A temporary jail. So they're preparing for mayhem in Kansas City. There's going to be soccer hooligans here. That's the least of our worries, honestly. It's the radical left, the violent radical left is what we need to worry about with all of these locations in America. But if we're actually planning on jailing a bunch of people during the World Cup here, and we need a temporary facility, it's an interesting question to ask the president. I wonder if Trump knows this. Do you know Kansas City's meeting to build a temporary jail for the World Cup because they're so worried about what's going to happen? That would be a great question. That'd be a great follow-up on this story, wouldn't it? They're not going to ask that. They asked this so they could go write the story. It's not Trump's call. That's what this story is. Everywhere that it ran in the left, Trump can't do this. We found another thing that he thinks he can do that he can't do. I'm trying to think of the one thing that he thought he could do that he hasn't done. He's got some things stalled in court, but he wins all those. Presidential powers, Supreme Court, you name it, it'll eventually get there. There simply seems like no reason that he can't send the National Guard in anywhere he wants where we have violence in our country. The border thing was the easiest call. They said he couldn't close the border. Remember, these are the same people who said, you can't close the border. Like, why? There's laws on the books that say it's closed. The breaking of the law was opening the border. It's the opposite. They love writing stories that Trump can't do this. And the sheer force of his personality and his political clout around the world will put him in a position where anything he suggests FIFA do, FIFA will do. They don't get that. These people on the left just don't get it. FIFA wants no trouble here. They don't want anything. They don't want any international incident. They certainly don't want violence. And they certainly don't want to stay around hotels where Antifa's outside throwing Molotov cocktails at the police that are guarding a hotel where the president of FIFA is staying. That's the last thing he wants. No, Trump will do what Trump wants to do. Let me tell you, because they just don't seem to understand this on the left. 913-408-7957 is the number to call if you'd like to join me. 913-408-7957. Still ahead, the pocket knife truth is coming out at Texas Tech. The video of Kristi Noem is not playing at KCI, and I don't think it was ever designed to be played there by the Trump folks. I'll explain that, and why we should keep defunding universities because of the silly studies they do. It's all ahead on Uncanceled. This is KCMO Talk Radio.
From Lawrence to Leavenworth, it's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Welcome back to the show. We're taking your phone calls. If you would like to join us today, it's 913-408-7957. We start in Shawnee today with Steve. Good morning, Steve. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good morning. Hey, listen, you know what? Old Lucas is what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to get a free prison so he doesn't have to spend on the infrastructure and put it on the World Cup. That's all he's trying to do for one nearby. I've got a better idea. Since some of these stadiums are near the river, I say we just get about 6 barges and kind of put them all together and make a floating prison like they did what the British did in the Revolutionary War. And you know what? Send a picture to Trump, and Trump will be going, that's a great idea, because the strategy is with ICE and them moving all the illegals out, they're going East Coast, West Coast, and closing into the Midwest. And you can have prison barges and just float them down instead of flying them out.
Well, well, the barges would have to stay in one position. You're talking about tethering them, mooring them to the shore?
Mooring to the shore and put some rat blocks on them. You know, those big old round rings on them. So if they try to escape, they won't be able to, and you just cage it up. And you know what? Maybe one of those barges, you can make a soccer field out of it.
Yeah, or at least practice out there. Yeah,
have a little fun.
All right,
yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you,
Enjoy
buddy. Appreciate you. Always looking for ideas. Very good. I like that. There was a man once upon a time my dad used to talk about. This has been a long time ago. There are places in the Kansas River where there's little islands in the middle of the river. We've all seen those, right? And my dad used to say, I can't believe nobody goes out there and fishes. You know, they see people standing on the shore or whatever while you go out to the island. And we weren't big at fishing or whatever, but he thought that would be a thing. And then he must have driven by it every day or something, somewhere maybe around where 435 is now in the river and on the Kansas side. And then he came home one day and said, because everybody's always got river ideas, right? He said, I can't believe what I saw. There's a man building a hut. He's going to live out there. I said, what? He said, yeah. I think it lasted. I think some dude lived out on one of those islands for about 6 months until they said, this is illegal. You can't be out there. He's like, no, that land doesn't belong to anybody. It's like it's a public waterway and whatnot. It was like the original homeless Gilligan's Island right there on the Kansas River, one of those things. Not very safe. If it starts raining really hard, the island washes away. I'm not sure the man understood exactly how that worked, but everybody always seems to have river ideas. I like that. One other example of what I was talking about with the media and the way they twist these stories, this one is absolutely classic. This is in the Washington Post. This is Washington Post. A buddy of mine sent this to me. The headline is, Goodbye Lipstick, Hello Hamburger Helper. Okay, it's got my attention. I think women wear too much lipstick, and I love Hamburger Helper. So it's in my wheelhouse. Less lipstick, more Hamburger Helper. I think I speak for most guys. Here's their lead paragraph. No, Coachella, which is a music festival, Coachella's lineup dropping months earlier than its usual release isn't actually an indicator of an impending recession. But in the absence of official government data, social media users are casting about the hints, even music festival-related ones, about the true state of the American economy. Okay, now that's a complicated, clunky lead, but what it says is, looks like Coachella's doing something because the economy's bad. It says, an indicator of impending recession, and then it says, absence of official government data. I mean, they're slamming Trump right and left here with one lead. They're just, this story is titled, Goodbye Lipstick, Hello Hamburger Helper. The second paragraph bails them out because the next line in paragraph 2 is, the United States is not in or even near a recession, despite what your grocery bill feels like. Now, how disingenuous is this story to start? They're about to tell us that they're going to use the lipstick factor as a judgment about what's happening with the economy. It goes like this. The old adage is, if lipstick sales go down and Hamburger Helper sales goes up, you're in a bad economy. That's just what the whole thing's about. There is nothing in this story that identifies any possible recession coming or economic data that anybody should be freaked out about. And yet that's their story. Goodbye Lipstick, Hello Hamburger Helper. And the lead of the story uses impending recession, absence of government data, and the true state of the economy. I can't believe how disingenuous these people are. They do this all the time. Just absolutely right and left, they do this. How many of you saw the viral video of the woman in Wichita that was taken on the doorstep? Did you see this one, Mark? She's in Wichita. It's Sunday night, 2 a.m. So it was late Saturday night. The people who lived there didn't know who it was. Nobody seemed to know who this woman was. A man comes up behind her and grabs her and pulls her away. She's screaming the whole time. They ask everyone in Wichita to identify her. Well, she didn't live that close to there. Nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew who the guy was. It's a very scary thing. We thought it was a terrible case. They asked for the public's health, and guess what happened? The woman came forward. She said, "Oh, I'm fine. I had a little problem Saturday night, went nuts. That's my boyfriend came and got me."
So he was helping her.
I think he was helping her a lot. That's not what they said. She had absolutely no injuries, no charges pressed, no nothing. That this was a domestic thing. Apparently they got in a fight, and she went loco and went for either a ride in the car or a walk or whatever, and she was going door to door. So she had to be on something crazy.
Yikes.
It's nuts because these videos go viral, and we immediately think, oh, my God, that poor woman. Well, it looks to me, we don't know for sure, but it looks like maybe the man in her life was actually doing her a huge favor at 2 a.m., getting her back home safely. Uncanceled continues. Why we got to keep defunding universities because they're picking on the Chiefs. Next.
From Gladstone to Gardner, it's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
We're officially overfunded at every level in our government. This shutdown's great because everything we're holding back now is awesome. I'm all in on it. I think we're learning that we're spending money on an awful lot of things that don't matter at all. USAID was probably the best example earlier this year. Nobody's missing that, the money we're spending there. And now the people that work there are actually saying things like, well, there were inefficiencies and all kinds of compromises within that because the money was just flowing and it was a given and there was no procedures in place to make sure that the right things were being done. And we're learning that we were doing it all the wrong way. Well, this happens everywhere, and it certainly happens with some of the funding that we have for universities. We've watched universities react to Trump mostly about men playing in women's sports and getting defunded, but it's obvious these things are bloated, ridiculously bloated, and at the same time, they're charging ridiculous amounts of tuition to make it unattainable for a lot of people. But this one really cut to the core. We mentioned this on yesterday's show, and I didn't have the details yet on this. This is the University of Texas, El Paso, which did a study of NFL games, in particular the Chiefs, from 2015 to 2023. And they have published in the Financial Review the findings of their academic study of NFL officiating. And what they have determined is the Kansas City Chiefs benefited from biased officiating. They found evidence the Chiefs benefited from slanted officiating in order to become one of the most popular teams in the league. The argument of this is this officially provides one of the clearest empirical looks at how financial pressures influence real-time rule enforcement. Our findings suggest, this is a UTEP professor, Spencer Barnes, PhD, professor of finance at UTEP's Woody L. Hunt College of Business, and the author of the study. Our findings suggest that when the league's financial health is at stake, rule enforcement may shift to protect market appeal. The fact that postseason penalties consistently favored one franchise, while similar dynasties showed no such pattern, points to the powerful role of financial incentives in shaping supposedly neutral decisions. Were the Chiefs a dynasty in 2015? I'm missing something.
No, that was kind of early on in the Andy Reid and Alex Smith age.
Wouldn't that have been the Patriots dynasty?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This dude doesn't even know sports, and he's doing a study saying that they started cheating for the Chiefs in 2015 in the playoffs. That would have been about the time the Chiefs were losing to the Patriots in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember that. Alex Smith was good. The Chiefs were good, but they weren't real threats to win at all. We kind of knew that.
They were losing to the Titans back in that day in the playoffs.
Yes. The study found that in the playoffs from 2015 to 2023, penalties against defenses playing against the Chiefs were significantly more likely to result in first downs and cover more yardage. Now we've taken almost 10 years. We've narrowed it down to just the postseason games, and now we're saying defensive penalties on the team the Chiefs are playing. What about the Chiefs' offensive penalties? Couldn't they have offset what they were getting on? They're not even saying that the Chiefs got more calls. They're saying their study basically made Patrick Mahomes a star. We went out of our way as the NFL to cheat and make Patrick Mahomes the star that he is. I don't think that's not his name, Spencer Barnes of the Woody L. Hunt College of Business has really watched Patrick Mahomes play football. And I wonder, with this coming out this week, how he feels about the Chiefs' offense right now. Chiefs didn't have a penalty Sunday night. They played a clean game. They came off a game where they had 13 penalties and 4 more flags that were waved off. They're going to get better. And here's what I've always known about sports. I'll use this argument right and left about Kansas basketball. KU always wins at home. They have forever. And they'll play a lesser team like K-State. And K-State fans will complain after the game and say, did you see the disparity in fouls? And I'll say, yeah, did you see the disparity in talent? The better team doesn't have to foul all the time. The defenders that are out of position and undersized whack the big guy all the time. There's a disparity for a reason. This is ridiculous. I'm embarrassed. They pay money for this? The league suffered a sharp decline in TV viewership from the 15 to 17 seasons, according to this study. And that's when the bias began toward the Chiefs to respond to that. Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback in 2018, and Kansas City quickly became one of the most popular teams in the league.
Because he was throwing for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. That's why they became popular.
Yes.
Not because of one extra flag per playoff game.
I mean, it's a weird time to live in Kansas City. We were always just flyover country. Nothing much interesting happened here. We had a chip on our shoulder that we weren't very cool. The entire world is out to get Kansas City right now because of a football team. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. How many people out there just hate the Chiefs? I mean, that play against Jacksonville where the flag was taken away when Juju Smith-Schuster blocked the guy. You can block within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, and he did that. And Kelsey scored a touchdown, and they threw a flag, and then like 8 Chiefs players go running at the ref saying, no, we get 1 yard of distance. He was within 1 yard because they coach it that way, and they practice it that way. And yes, the Chiefs are that good. They picked the flag up and didn't call the penalty, and the whole world died. It was like they just couldn't. I mean, it's unbelievable what happened to people all over the country. They couldn't believe it. They were just completely and absolutely out of their minds, mortified that the Chiefs got away with another one. That the Chiefs got away with a legal play that you didn't even know about. You're upset. It's what they do. It's actually comical. Oh, but it's not as funny as the video of Kristi Noem that the Trump administration sent out to every airport in America and said, play this video for Homeland Security purposes. I won't play the video for you. You've seen it or you've heard it. She basically says, we're really sorry you're having a crappy day flying because, you're having a terrible experience here, but the government is shut down and it's the Democrats' fault. That's all the video is. So you can't lose doing this because even in good times, you go to the airport and you're having a crappy day and there's delays and there's long lines and, you got to take your shoes off and walk through and the floor feels gross and, oh, God, it's dirty and it's kind of sticky and all these other things. No, it's always a bad experience at the airport. So you can't lose here. They knew that these airports weren't going to play this. KCI's decided they're not playing it. They knew this. By doing this, I don't know what fraction of people are going to fly while the government is shut down. Let's say 10% of Americans, that's probably high. Let's say 10% of Americans are going to fly during the shutdown. This video's for the other 90%. How do we keep pounding and getting the word out that this is on the Democrats? And these idiots in the media and the Democrat politicians, it's catnip. They can't stand it. Oh, there's this video. We got to stomp this down. Look at Trump wants to put no kings. He wants to put a video in here and say it's the Democrats' fault. Yeah, by drawing attention to it and sending it everywhere, you're educating the other 90% of the people. And they're all sitting there going, boy, our airports must really be rad right now because the Democrats shut down. The way Trump has managed this party to market conservatism in America is the greatest thing we've ever seen. There's no Bush that could have done this. Reagan was a great communicator, but he didn't have like this massive structure of a government that everybody was in lockstep for this is how we do it. J.D. Vance's shot at Liz Warren, basically saying, well, we did peace today in honor of you on Indigenous Peoples Day. That's what works. That's the stuff people see. Make fun of them. Make no doubt about it. Kristi Noem's video is they're just punking the Democrats. They didn't think these cities were going to put this up. And I don't know that they'll go any further and try to force it. The point is get it out there, get it in the news cycle, and let everyone think that the airports are a mess right now because of the Democrats. I love it. Back to the phones we go. We've got Fred joining us today. Hey, Fred, how you been, man?
Good.
Great to hear from you.
I left comments on 2 BS articles online about the Chiefs, and they were both similar. I started with Chiefs derangement syndrome, and then I said, how exactly are the refs helping the Chiefs when our receivers are getting held all the way down the field, our offensive linemen are getting mauled like a WWE fight, and there are no flags being thrown, and our defensive players if they get within 3-4 feet of a quarterback, they're getting flags.
Yeah, your argument is different than mine, Fred. I'm not real big on blaming refs for anything or saying it's imbalanced for one team or another. I can't tell you how many officials I've known over the years. Consider myself a good friend of a guy who was an official in the SEC for a long, and Big 12 for a long time. Played many rounds of golf with him. Had a cold one or two. I'm telling you right now, I know what school he went to. I know where he played. There's no bias. He doesn't care. When they go to do a job, they go to do a job. These officials are not on the take. They're not trying to do anything. They literally don't want to be part of the story. So you're seeing something from a Chiefs point of view, and you think the Chiefs are being held.
Actually, I stated at the end of that. I said what you're saying is BS. 2, I said this is taking away from what we should be talking about. I watch all the good games, and the NFL officiating is horrible. These people are more blind than Helen Keller on everything. So it's an NFL problem, not the Chiefs are getting this. They're paying off the reps. That was my only comment there.
All right. Sounds good, Fred. I got to set you up with lunch with my buddy Cato. You guys would have a great time talking about officiating. I think they do a great job. That doesn't mean you catch everything. But then I've been on the field for NFL games probably 50 times. It is insanely fast. If you think you can see a toe tap between green and white paint and a white shoe and get it right all the time, it's impossible for me to put into words how hard this job is that they do. Replay has fixed 90% of all the problems we have. I have 2 problems with the NFL and officiating. 1, the replay system should be usable on anything any coach wants to do at any time. I don't care what it is. I want to review that, allow that at any time. Okay? And
right. Because actually, here's the question. They have came out and said that the tush push, they're getting offsides every game, every time they do it, and there's no way for them to see it.
It should be reviewable.
Which means it should be banned.
It should be reviewable. But you can't review that.
Or exactly that.
That's exactly it should just be reviewable, Fred. Everything should be reviewable, but it should be on the coaches. I like replay assist. We can keep that. I'm with replay assist. I'm cool with that. Keep it. But it should be with the coaches. Coaches make so much money, this should be on them to put a system in place that works to their advantage as coaches. I like that. The other thing is there's a rule change that needs to happen because the only officiating advantage the Chiefs get isn't really an officiating advantage. It just looks like one. Patrick Mahomes is the master of faking going out of bounds and then getting 3 more yards. And that should be against the rule. If you're going to protect quarterbacks with all kinds of rules, they should have a rule that quarterbacks cannot fake going out of bounds and then keep running. That should absolutely be some sort of a penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct, something. Mahomes is the master. We've all seen it. He does it more games than not, and he's my guy. He's our guy. We love it. But the other quarterbacks don't do it, and the other teams think he's getting away with something. But he's not getting away with something. The rule says you just can't plow the guy if he's going out of bounds, so the defenders back off. And then what's he do? A couple games ago, he lowered his shoulder and just wrecked the guy. He faked like he's going out of bounds, and he lowered his shoulder and just plowed over the defender. That should not be allowed. If you're going out of bounds and the play's off, it's over. And then if you re-engage and go back up the field, that should be a penalty on the quarterback. That's a rule thing. That's not an officiating problem. They need to put that rule in because it really isn't football. The whole idea of running out of bounds really isn't even football. This was controversial 30 or 40 years ago. We'd sit here and go, look at these receivers all just going out of bounds. Well, they teach it now. If you've got the first down, don't take a hit. We don't want to get these guys hurt. Nobody wants to get hurt. And now we're sort of used to seeing guys go out of bounds after they get a first down. Or if they know they can't score a touchdown, go out of bounds. Don't get hurt. But faking it is not very football-like, if you ask me. And it certainly isn't fair to the defense. That's my big grievance. You solve all these problems. Any fan that complains after a game about officiating call, one simple rule in the NFL. Everything's reviewable at the coach's discretion, as long as you have a review. And then Andy says, okay, what happened on that tush push? Well, the guard jumped. Great, throw the red thing. And they look at it, and they have the camera angle. And you can see the guys across the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped. That's a penalty. Why can't you? Why can't you review all of this stuff? Hey, they can try to review pass interference for all I care. It's going to be really difficult. And it should be a very high bar to get it called. But sometimes, I saw this was at this last game or the one before, Kelsey went up to try to catch it, and we're like, why didn't he catch the ball? Well, he only had one hand because the defender had his hand around his wrist, was holding it down. But you couldn't tell. Their bodies were next to each other. You couldn't see it. But literally, the defender was so good at what he was doing. He was holding Travis Kelsey's right hand, who went up with his left hand to try to catch it one-handed, and the official didn't catch it because he only held it for a split second. But he saw the ball coming. He knew how long to hold it. Review it. I'm cool with that. Review any of those things. I'm tired of people complaining about the Chiefs. I'm tired. I just think the best teams win. Just my rant. We join Mark next. Oh, boy. His Seattle Mariners are ready to rock. And where is the Chiefs left guard, Josh Simmons, on Uncanceled?
Hey, it's Vince Gallane's Catch My News Show at 11 o'clock after Kevin Kietzman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Mark Van Sickle, have you heard of the Taco Bell 50K?
I have not.
It was a race last weekend in Denver that spans 31 miles of roads in Denver, 700 runners. Last year, it was only 170. You get 11 hours to complete the course that goes by 10 Taco Bells. You have to eat at 9 of them.
No, thanks. I'm out.
A man that ran the Boston Marathon 2 weeks ago said this is way harder than the Boston Marathon. There is no Mylanta or Pepto-Bismol allowed. Kansas, we got to have a barbecue run here.
A barbecue run would be fun. I'm going to say you got to have an adult diaper on while you're running that thing.
Exactly. We have to do a barbecue run. Texas Tech says they found a pocket knife on the ground at the KU game on Saturday night. Buddy, if somebody threw that, they got to find this, and they need to prosecute him, not just ban him from the stadium. That's a crime.
Yeah, they have to have some video. Somebody has videos.
Right. And don't you think that person should at least do some sort of probation and fine or something?
Yeah, community service something.
It's a dangerous crime, I think. Mm-hmm. Throwing a knife out of the stands down to the field. I say prosecute. Josh Simmons, the Chiefs' left tackle. Any thoughts about what's going on?
I just assume it's a family death, but I don't know.
They've said personal issue. Mm-hmm. Nobody with the Chiefs seems to know. They keep asking. They're like, yeah, we don't know. And they didn't know he was leaving. He just left. This reminds me of Zach Greinke and I think Danny Duffy. Didn't Danny Duffy leave baseball for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Zach Greinke had some mental issues, right? Mental health issues, and left for a while, walked away. I don't know that's what this is. But if the Chiefs don't know if it's a death in the family or a family matter or what it is at this point, it sounds like he's just like AWOL.
I think they know, they just aren't telling us. That's my feeling.
Okay, his agent is Drew Rosenhaus. If it was a family matter, if it was a death, if it was an illness or something, don't you think somebody would have said right now that somebody's sick, that he's dealing with that?
Possibly, depending on the death and what maybe happened, that could also play into it.
This has been a while, man, and he just left on him. He didn't tell him he was leaving. They didn't know. This is one of the weirdest things ever. I'm not sure this is your normal, my family member is sick thing. We will see. I hope it's not about Josh Simmons, that he's okay. But the players that I've seen leave sports are always at a very young age. It happens a lot with college athletes. They used to get homesick, remember? And they'd have to leave. They don't feel like they're in place on campus, and they'd go home, they'd leave. Guy'd only played 4 NFL games, right? 5?
Yeah.
Young man. I don't know. This feels a little more like Zach Greinke and Danny Duffy to me, who were Royals that had to walk away for a while before they came back. Speaking of the Royals, Bobby Witt Jr., Mykal Garcia, and Kyle Isbell are all finalists for the Gold Glove Award.
They should win it.
Makes sense. November 2nd, we'll find out. And the American League Championship and National League Championship Series, unless you're a Dodger or a Seattle fan at this point, have been incredibly boring, yes or no?
That's true. It's going to be Mariners and Dodgers. Let's go, Mariners.
The road teams have just gone out and crushed it.
Yep.
The poor little kids, there's like 8-year-old boys just sitting there crying every night. I'm like, I need some entertainment in the baseball playoffs. Here comes the Vince Show.